Do you need to pass GED Language Arts? Do you want powerful GED writing tips guaranteed to raise your score? Well then stay tuned for the whole video. Hi, this is Parker from DeskPrepChampions.com, and we're about to get started, but first I just want to point out that if you want free personalized feedback on your writing to help you with the GED essay, just click the link down below in the description. Alright, let's get started. This first tip will help you with punctuation and capitalization so that you don't lose points that you deserve to get. In your writing, you must end each sentence with a period, exclamation mark, or a question mark. Exclamation marks are for showing strong feelings or excitement, question marks are for questions, and periods are for statements. Now, in your essay, try to stick mainly to periods. You can throw in an exclamation mark or a question mark or two if you'd like to, but they're usually not necessary. When in doubt, just stick to periods. Now, the most important point to know about this, though, is that when you start a new sentence, always capitalize the first letter of the first word in that new sentence. Make sense so far? Let's see with a quick example. Here we see a sentence, John bought a book, he just finished it, but we see two versions of the sentence. Which is correct, version 1 or version 2? Well, hopefully you see that version 1 is incorrect, and the reason is because we have this lowercase h starting the sentence here. That's incorrect, because we need to remember that at the start of a new sentence, we always want to capitalize the first letter of the first word in that new sentence. In number 2, John bought a book, he just finished it, we see that the h in the word he is properly capitalized, and therefore 2 is correct. Now that we're clear on how to capitalize the first letter in a new sentence, let's move on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is to make sure that you use words that sound the same but that are spelled differently correctly. Let's look at 2 versus 2 versus 2. We see 3 different spellings of the same word. How do you know when to use each 2? Well, you want to use 2 spelled T-W-O for the number 2. For example, we'd use TWO to say 2 women ride a roller coaster. But what about 2 spelled T-O-O? Use 2 spelled T-O-O instead of also or in addition. Or you can use it for excessiveness or instead of the word very. For example, we would use 2 spelled T-O-O to say Jane went biking, her friend went too. Or that speed is too fast for me. Lastly, what about 2 spelled T-O? Just remember that you use it in all other cases. For example, you would use 2 spelled T-O for movement in a direction or a place of arrival, or to indicate a range of time. For example, you would use 2 spelled T-O to say we went to the city, or we stayed from Monday to Wednesday. Tip number 3 is to add transition words to your writing. Transition words connect ideas, and they help the reader follow along with the passage. So here are some examples, and of course you've got to keep in mind the context of your writing to know when to use these. You've got to use common sense. But these are some good words to start off a paragraph or for lists. First, second, third, next, in addition, lastly, in the first place, in the second place, etc., etc. So to show an example, you could say, for example, to demonstrate, for instance, or to illustrate. For contrast, you could say, however, in contrast, on the other hand, yet, but, or although. And for conclusions, you can just say, in the conclusion, therefore, thus, in short, in brief, or in summary. These conclusions are great to put at the end of your essay. You could start the closing paragraph off with one of these, or you can use these at the end of your body paragraphs. The next tip is extra important, so make sure to pay close attention. So we don't know exactly what the topic's going to be. There's no way to predict that, but we do know what the prompt will be. You're going to have to read 2 passages by 2 different authors, and both authors are going to be trying to convince you that their position is correct. And you're then going to write about which position is best supported. And to do this, you're going to use a 5-paragraph essay. So the 4th tip is to use the 5-paragraph essay format, which I'll teach you how to do here. So you're going to start off with an introduction, which is 1 paragraph, then 3 body paragraphs, and then end with a conclusion. But how do you know how to start the essay? Let's look at some formulas to help you crush it. Okay, so the first thing that you must do is start off with a topic sentence. What do you start off with? You start your essay by writing what kind of sentence? A topic sentence. Hopefully you were just listening and you got that right. So give yourself a pat on the back if you got that right. Great job. So let me give you some formulas now for writing a topic sentence. So the first formula is blank is a controversial issue. And in the blank, you just put in whatever the topic of the essay is. So these are just some examples. If the topic was diamond mining, you could say diamond mining is a controversial issue. Or you could say, if it's about, say, for example, teens arguing over the best age to give teens a cell phone, you could say the best age to give teens a cell phone is a controversial issue. Okay, so also, here's another formula I really like. There's much debate about blank. And again, you just put the topic, whatever the essay is about, in the blank there. So for example, you could say, there's much debate about diamond mining. Or if it's about cell phones, you could say there's much debate about the best age to give teens a cell phone. Formula 3 is another one that I really like here. So Formula 3, author A has a different viewpoint than author B on blank, and whatever the topic is, you just put in there. Okay, so if it's, you could say, for example, the author of the letter has a different viewpoint than the author of the editorial on recycling. All right, so that would work. Now, if you're given the names, and I just made these names up, but if you're given names, you could just call the people right out. You could say Tom Smith has a different viewpoint than Jane Doe about renewable energy. Okay, and so 4 is also another formula that I really like here, and there are both supporters and critics of blank, and whatever the topic is, again, you put in that blank there. So you could say they're both supporters and critics of daylight savings time, right? So these are 4 formulas that I just made up here that you can use, and these are totally valid ways to do it. So now let's move on here, and I'll keep showing you how to crush the first paragraph. All right, so tip number 5, let's keep moving here. So you want to start off with the topic sentence, and the next thing that you want to do is you want to just state what both authors' positions are. Now, I like to do each in one sentence, so I like to state author A's position in one sentence, and then author B's position in another sentence, but you can combine them into one sentence if you want to. Here's a great tip here. Use a contrast transition between sentences 2 and 3. So remember your contrasts. I have some examples down below here. So for example, if it's about diamond mining, you could say author A believes that diamond mining is good, period. However, author B believes diamond mining is bad. Now you'd probably want to make it go a little bit more in depth, give a little more detail than that, but that's an example, roughly speaking, of how you would do it. All right, and so then after those 2 sentences, you want to then go on and state your own claim about which position is best supported. All right, and so you're going to be deciding after you read the passages which one has the strongest evidence, which author's position is best supported by the evidence in the passage, and you're just going to state that in the final sentence in the first paragraph. All right, and so here's a great way to state which position is best supported. So you can just say author A provides a better supported argument than author B. All right, for example, you could say the letter provides a better supported argument than the editorial if they don't give you names. All right, so the key though with that last sentence is just to clearly state which position is best supported. It doesn't have to be any brilliant, amazing, masterpiece. Just state which position is best supported and which position you're going to be arguing in favor of throughout your essay. All right, so I want to now give some examples of a quote-unquote perfect intro. So this was an intro, or this is a whole essay that got a perfect score, and you can click the link down below or you can type the link on screen in your search engine if you want to read this, but it's not that important to read. I'm just going to give you some key parts. Okay, so the topic sentence says, both the press release and the letter to the editor offer positions that are supported by both fact and opinion. So just a very simple to the point topic sentence that works and gets the job done here. So take note of how this was done. And then he or she, whoever the author of this was, goes on to state the author's positions, right? And so it's not really authors here, it's a press release and a letter. So the author of the essay says, the press release seeks to exhort the new bill for expansion of Highway 17, while the letter argues that the passing of the bill could prove detrimental to the district. So while is a nice transition word here that we see, right? And so what's going on here again, there's 2 different positions. There's the press release and then there's the position in the letter, and the author is just stating what each of the positions are here, and there's a nice transition word. So the author chose to do it all in one sentence here, which is a totally valid way to do it here. All right, now let's go on and let's look at the closing here. So the writer, he or she of the essay here says, while both sides make an acceptable case, the latter provides a stronger argument. So they're just stating which position is stronger, which one provides a better argument, and so just simple to the point, and definitely take note of how this was done. So that's the intro, but what about the body? Tip number 6 is to ace the body paragraphs, and what you're doing again here is you're writing 3 different body paragraphs, and so you're going to read those 2 passages, and you're going to pick which passage is the strongest and has the best evidence. Then out in that one passage that you think is the strongest, you're going to go through the evidence and pick out the 3 strongest pieces of evidence, and then each paragraph is going to be dedicated to one piece of evidence, all right? And so these are some examples of strong arguments, and these are just a few, but we got facts, status, stats, and surveys, expert and authority opinions, and also research from research studies and experiments. So these are just some signs that you've got a strong argument. So again, read the passage that you think is the strongest and best supported, pick out the 3 strongest pieces of evidence from that, and then each body paragraph will be dedicated to an individual piece of evidence. So tip number 6 is to help you ace the body paragraph. So here's a formula that you can use for the body. So you're going to start off with a topic sentence, and now this is a little bit different than the topic sentences in the introduction, but it's basically the same thing. Then you're going to spend 1 to 3 sentences doing an explanation of that topic sentence, and then you can also do a refutation in 1 to 3 sentences where you basically look at the weaker position, and you're basically going to say why it's not as good as the stronger one. All right, and so here's an example. So here are some examples of words to start each body paragraph. So you could say simply, one reason why author A's position is stronger is because he or she uses more statistics. All right, very simple way to do it. Okay, and then you would put the statistic in the next sentence. Okay, so you've got that topic sentence here. One reason why author A's position is stronger is because he or she used more statistics. Okay, so the topic is going to be the statistics, and then you could put those exact statistics in the next sentence. So you could either quote, or you don't want to copy directly, but you can copy directly as long as you put quotes around it, or you can just summarize how the author is using the statistics, and you want to explain why that makes his or her position stronger. And then next, you'll just explain why it matters and or how the other position is lacking in statistics. So you could just say, for example, something like, one reason why author A's position is stronger is because he or she used more statistics. Then you'd list the statistics in the next sentence or two and explain why they matter. And then you could say author B makes some valid points, but this author is lacking the statistics in fact, so the position is not as strong. Something like that, all right? Now, here is another way that you can start each body paragraph, and this might be even simpler. So you could start each body paragraph by saying something like, one example of why blank is the better supported position is blank. And the first blank would be the author's name, or if it's the letter or the editorial, whatever. She would say, for example, one example of why author A's position is the better supported position is because there are more facts and statistics. All right, and so then you would put your evidence there at the end of that sentence. Okay, so you could then start the next paragraph with another example and then do the same type of thing. Another example of why author A has the better argument is because of more facts and statistics, or because they cite expert opinions, or whatever it is, all right? And then another way you could do it is a second example. Okay, so what I want to do now is just show you some highlights from this quote-unquote perfect essay to just really drive home how you can start off your body paragraph. So this is an example from the perfect essay, or the quote-unquote perfect essay, and it starts off by saying, one example of the letter's stronger argument is the explanation that federal tax dollars pay for the road, as it will incorporate 6 different states, therefore eliminating this particular state's ability to strike the bill down. So very simply, very simple, very to the point, and the author just says one example, and so note that the whole body paragraph, the first body paragraph of the essay, just starts off with one example of the letter's stronger argument, stating that the letter is stronger than the editorial, and then just explains why. All right, and so here's another example here. So the author of the essay says, another example of the better supported argument in the letter is the reference to the construction jobs as temporary. Okay, so I just want to highlight some really good examples of how to start each body paragraph. So this just starts with another example. And then the last body paragraph also starts with another example. So it says, another example of the letter's stronger argument is the author's explanation of the 2001 study. So again, I just want to point out here that, hey, all this author did to get a perfect score was they started each paragraph with another example. All right, so they first started with one example, and then the other 2 body paragraphs, they started with another example, then they just explained why. All right, so that's a simple way to start off, and it worked to get a perfect score for that person. Okay, so here's where we are here. Next, we want to talk about the explanation and the refutation, and I want to just show you here a perfect example of how to do this here. So the author, again, starts off with that introduction that we already looked at, and then goes on to say, this proves with factual information that the district did not have a fair say in the bill. So I like that the author says factual information, because that's basically just stating, why someone's position is stronger because they use factual information. Then the author, he or she, goes on to say, the notion that few residents will use the road that their tax dollars are providing is an opinion. However, a resident and small business owner in the town is more credible in the awareness of the town's concern as compared to a representative who attended a few meetings in the town hall. So very good job here refuting those, both stating why the letter is better and also stating why the editorial is not as strong here. So we've got a perfect example here of both explaining why one argument is credible and then also stating why another argument is not credible. So this is a good example to look at here. And again, like I said, if you're having trouble with the body paragraphs, just let me know down below. Click on that link down below and I'll take a look at your writing for you and we can get that sorted out. The next tip is to vary your sentence length. So tip number 7 is to vary your sentence length. You want to use a mix of short, long, and average length sentences. So figure out about how many words on average you put in a sentence. Now you can use a word count tool like Google Docs or Microsoft Word. You can copy and paste your writing when you're done practicing over there, and you can use the tool to count it, or you can just estimate. You don't have to necessarily get an exact number, but just figure out about what the average length of words is that you put in a sentence, and then just deliberately cut it about 15 to 20 words short, or just deliberately put about 15 to 20 words longer, just here and there throughout your essay, just to mix it up here. And just note that it's especially powerful to use short sentences here and there. So a short sentence can provide a quick punch that it really makes your writing shine and really helps your writing stand out. But you will be graded on this, so make sure that you vary your sentence length and do this intentionally and deliberately, and remember this when you go into your test. If you haven't done so already, you'll now want to go check out my video on how to beat GED grammar and how to beat the GED essay. You'll learn more tips to help you pass the GED language arts section. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you found anything in this video helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to send me your rating. Click down below. Send me your rating. I'll give you feedback for free. Thanks a lot, guys. Good luck on your test.